Britain de facto continues to come to the help of the Kurdish PKK in the fight against ISIS. It comes as NATO ally Turkey bombs Kurdish positions, breaking an uneasy two-year-old ceasefire. So are we now at war with Turkey? With us is Michelle Allison from the Kurdish National Congress, the women's representative. Welcome, Michelle, to Going Underground.
Hello.
So there are a lot of acronyms here, I know, but Britain and America, their airstrikes are de facto helping the YPG, the HPG, and yet Turkey is bombing the Kurds. Just take us through it.
That's right. It is actually well documented in all of the news now. Unfortunately, at the moment, the expectations of the NATO and the ally members are Turkey to join in the battle against ISIS and to help the NATO and then to allow them to use their bases, air base in Turkey in the war against ISIS. But actually what Turkey is reluctant to do is to do that, but they're rather, at the moment, they're standstill watching on the tanks on the other side of the border. They're attacking the Kurdish demonstrators who are trying to help their brothers and their cousins on the other side of the artificial borders. But Turkey is doing nothing much, and there are a lot of claims, obviously, that Turkey is helping, supporting financially, and treating the ISIS militants. And there are a lot of evidences documented, a lot of evidences to show that. And this is obviously upsetting West, and it is quite, it is in fact a quite dangerous situation they're putting themselves in now.
As you said, Susan Rice had already said in Washington, and no doubt the Americans told the British Foreign Office, Turkey had allowed Incirlik Air Base to be used for airstrikes on ISIS. Then the Turkish government denied this.
They denied it, and then I think because they've denied it and they're kind of surprised that they're not using that. Actually, the amazing Noam Chomsky only a few days ago on one of the meeting in the United Nations, he says, we cannot understand the Turkish approach to this, and they're supposed to be actually bombing ISIS with the NATO, but they're going and bombing the Kurdish mountains.
Well, one doesn't have to be Chomsky; it could be David Cameron or President Obama. Must be very irritated about it. So, who are the Kurdish forces? They always try and say Peshmerga on the mainstream media, which is a kind of vague term.
That's right, yeah.
And then we get information: the YPG, the HPG. Tell me about them.
Peshmerga is actually the Iraqi Kurds, where they're fighting. Peshmergas do not exist in Syria or in northern Kurdistan in Turkey. They are guerrillas rather. YPGs are People Protection Unit, and YPJ is the Women Protection Unit, and because they have different militaries. And PKK is mainly based in Turkish. These are guerrillas, and that's how they're different. So, because they're in different countries.
And the PKK is prescribed as a terrorist, even though British RAF tornadoes are helping them, they are a prescribed terrorist movement. Explain to an audience that might not know who Abdullah Öcalan is, because the flags showing his face were in Parliament Square for big demonstrations in recent days. Who is this man?
Now, Abdullah Öcalan is obviously the founder of the PKK, and PKK was started back in '78 with the ideology of a leftist organization, a Marxist ideology. But then it has evolved in the recent days, and they are fighting for the Kurdish rights in the Turkish region. And then now YPG they're not the same, but they are kind of sharing a similar ideology. And this ideology is actually an ideology based on ecology, of women and men equality, and they're asking for autonomic or maybe more rights for the Kurds. And they're fighting for their rights in Turkey. And Turkey, yet again, every time there is demands by the PKK and by the Kurds, all what they get, as a response is brutality. And last year in 2013 March, which was in Kurdish New Year, Abdullah Öcalan declared a ceasefire. And he told the Turks, we'll sit and it's been a long-going conflict, and we should find a solution to end this conflict and sit there and then talk about, how we can live together. And apparently the recent bombing only this week, it seems a really bad answer to this ceasefire from the Turkish side. And
why just now, when Britain is helping the Kurdish fighters, would Turkey be responding in this way?
I would assume Turkey does what they always do well. They try to show the West, demonize the Kurds all the time, saying, you see, they're actually, they are attacking us and they're trying to end the ceasefire. But I'm hoping that the world is not going to buy this, because now we clearly see their approach to the Kurds about to be massacred on the other side of the region in Kobani, then one can really imagine how they would be treating their own Kurds on their own region if they're asking for any rights, if somebody can be watching the massacre happening to them. This tells a lot to the West as well. Obviously in the West, we're not blind anymore because they control the media, the Turkish government, they control everything, everything's under their control, and Kurds are really poor people
and tens of thousands over the years have been killed. But when Rupert Murdoch's Wall Street Journal is supporting the Kurds against Turkey,
that's right.
What does this place in terms of the future of Kurds vis-a-vis British foreign policy, EU foreign policy? Any changes on?
I am hoping, and we are really welcoming this, and I think it will be changing because now they're facing a Turkish government supporting ISIS against the warnings, despite warnings about NATO and by the West. And then there's Kurdish forces fighting ISIS. It's like the world is fighting ISIS. We're trying to get rid of this, this cancer tumor for all of us. And PKK and ISIS and YPG is fighting ISIS. But Turkey, they're supporting ISIS and they're fighting against Kurds. I think this explains a lot to us. I think ISIS, also Turkish Prime Minister is a very pro-religious person, and he does not condemn. He could not even say that ISIS is a terrorist organization for a very long time.
And the Kurdish National Congress, of which you're a representative, represents all the different factions.
That's right, yeah. It's an umbrella organization.
Previously, Britain has sought to, and the United States after the Anglo-American invasion of Iraq, wanted other Kurdish groups versus other Kurdish groups. So how will Britain square itself when it comes to all the different groups? Because not all the groups get on with each other.
That's right. There are differences in terms of ideology and what the different Kurds stands for. But I mean, most of the Kurdish people, I think YPG and PKK and most of the Kurdish people are after very secular and very democratic establishment in the regions that they live in, the Kurdish lands. They have better relationship with the West because they have an autonomic the government. That's
why. There are 250,000 people of Kurdish origin here in Britain.
That's
right.
Do
you think that feeling is shared widespread in the community?
It is shared.
Here?
You see every day there are demonstrations happening all over Britain, and communities, all the friends have been amazing as well. There's a very big awareness by all the communities in all over Europe, everywhere, not only by the Kurds but by everyone else, because they can see what's happening there.
So how would Mr. Öcalan be negotiating with the EU? How is he going to be doing it, given the British tornadoes are fighting obviously over in Iraq, the Americans in this fluid border region with Turkey? How will they contact him? Because of course he's in jail on this island. I have the name of the island.
It's Imrala Island.
Right.
Yeah, he's an isolated prison in Imrala Island for a very long time, and even the conditions to negotiate for the peace process was not equal. I mean, you have the Turkey who are free, who has media, and then you have the Kurdish leader in jail trying to negotiate. It was not an equal balance. But now it is quite difficult to think how this is going to happen. Everything is very new and it's quite complex as well. But I'm assuming if that happens, Turkey will kind of react very harshly, because all what they want is they want to continue showing the Kurds are actually the ones that the whole world should fight against. But now everybody can see that actually we are fighting against ISIS. We are fighting for democracy. We are helping all the communities in Syria: Kurds, Yazidis, Christians, Arabs, Sunni Arabs. There are a lot of Arabs actually. They fled the ISIS and they have come to Syrian Kurdish region in Rojava in Syria, and they've been saved by them. And even Turkmens have been saved by the Kurds. And it's finally people can see actually the reality behind the two-sided policy of Turkey.
Michelle Hassan, thank you.
Thank you very much.